Happy holidays and welcome to DCTV's special presentation in honor of Giving Tuesday. I'm Lisa D., Director of Community Engagement, Programming, and Communications here at DCTV. There are more than 12,000 nonprofit organizations in Washington, D.C., and according to the Center for Nonprofit Advancement, 8,000 of those are registered 501c3 organizations. These nonprofits have a great economic impact in the district, generating more than $40 billion in annual revenue. What's also commendable is the enormous amount of volunteer work that is performed in our communities. Our mission here at DCTV is to provide meaningful media to the residents of Washington, D.C. and the surrounding communities. We are always hard at work providing a platform for local voices to be heard and to spark meaningful dialogue to address a variety of issues affecting those residents. In 2019, DCTV launched a unique capacity building grant program for the purpose of helping nonprofit organizations increase their communications capacity and to cultivate our communities with meaningful media. We developed this grant with the guidance of nonprofit leaders who told us that getting the message out about their organization's mission is one of the biggest challenges they face, especially in this ever-evolving digital world. So today, we are here to tell their stories and to give a platform to these meaningful messages of impact. It is truly an honor for all of us here at DCTV to celebrate Giving Tuesday and to showcase the many nonprofit organizations here in Washington, D.C. and all over the DMV that are making a huge difference in the lives of others. As communities continue to face challenges and difficulties due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the services and assistance these nonprofit organizations provide to the residents are more important than ever. Giving Tuesday is celebrated each year on the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It was started back in 2012 and is recognized globally as a way of encouraging people to give and to help others. It is our hope that by watching this 24-hour special programming event, you'll be inspired to find out more about these organizations and the important work that they continue to do on a daily basis. Throughout this special event, you'll be introduced to various members of DCTV staff as we come together in honor of Giving Tuesday. But first, we'll hear from the CEO of the Center for Nonprofit Advancement and the Chief Service Officer and Director of the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnerships, Serve DC, with a message for our communities about nonprofits and volunteerism. Enjoy.
Nonprofits over this last year and through the pandemic have really stood in the gap. We have reached communities that government and no other support systems could get to. The communities hardest hit and the people hardest hit with challenges. So when you look at organizations that have distributed PPE, have helped to get technology to homes where young people were being challenged with virtual schooling, providing food and even shelter, those are some of the things that were so important and more important during this challenging time that nonprofit organizations were able to execute gracefully and masterfully. There is a tremendous partnership with government and nonprofits in the District of Columbia. It's Serve DC, the Mayor's Office for Volunteerism and Engagement that the center works with to really ensure that every corner of the district has support, is meeting the needs of people in communities and making sure that that drive that we talk about is actually happening.
In 2020 and 2021, our nonprofit community stepped up in epic ways, especially during the onset of the pandemic. They leaned in to ensure that there was no disruption of essential services on behalf of our residents by providing access to food delivery, housing, and health and social services. Our mayor and local government officials also look to nonprofits to be the trusted relationship and provider to their constituents for COVID-19 testing and vaccine availability. So they have really been at the backbone and the foundation of our community during this really sensitive and unprecedented time.
stay involved, stay connected. It's not enough to just sit around and watch and see what's happening. It's super important for us all to do our part and share in the work of our communities.
Hi, I'm Michelle McCrae, Member Services Coordinator at DCTV. When it comes to performing arts, it doesn't get any better than Washington, D.C. The district is considered to be the cultural center of the nation, with a wide array of performing arts. Not only are there a number of performing arts centers, there are also several performing arts nonprofits that provide many services, including teaching dance, music, and acting, as well as showcasing performances and telling stories in unique ways. I'd like to introduce you to 6 nonprofit organizations who are doing just that in the DC area. They are In Series, the Dance Institute of Washington, National Philharmonic Orchestra and Choral of Montgomery County, Inc., the Washington Jazz Arts Institute, Children's Chorus of Washington, and STARS Performing Arts, Inc. Let's see what kind of impact they're making to our city's art scene.
All we do is try to work with communities to make space in those communities where artists from those communities can tell stories that are relevant to them. We choose different neighborhoods and different locations to perform in based on what are the stories we're trying to tell and who are we trying to engage in them. DC is this incredibly smart, dynamic, diverse city that refuses to be pigeonholed or nailed down to one discipline or one style or one aesthetic, and we're a company that performs in all musical styles.
I know it's soothing, ever forgiving, it's bold and can keep warm the soul.
Here at the In Series, I have been active as a singer and also as a part of the Mary Caldwell Dawson Fellowship program. The fellowship is this evolving program where artists will be able to come in, get to know other artists that have similar interests, but also develop their own programs and their own pathways. I'm hoping just to build more equity at large. As a young singer myself, it took a while to realize how sometimes the way the curriculum is set up, there's a lot of erasure that happens with classical music, and there's a lot of specificity, particularly around phenotypical attributes. So we sing songs about blonde hair and about blue eyes and about red hair and about pale skin, and no one thinks how exclusionary that actually is. And the In Series is kind of this guerrilla opera company where they take wild risks, they move from place to place, they do very daring repertoire, and I think those two ideas really congeal together to create something that can constantly evolve and can create this ecosystem that is supportive. I see that year after year, these artists will get to know each other and get to know themselves and build relationships that will be strong and enduring. And these relationships will continue to nurture each other and will continue to grow. And I think that will help the operatic community and the musical community and artistic community at large.
In a 2014 study, the League of American Orchestras found that less than 15% of orchestral musicians in the U.S. were people of color. The National Philharmonic Orchestra and Choral of Montgomery County strives to make musical programs more accessible and diverse, with a minimum benchmark of 40% composers of color and 40% guest artists of color each season. Welcome to Impact Moment, brought to you by DCTV. I'm Rebecca Burnett, and here to explain how NatPhil meets those goals is President and CEO Jim Kelly. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Rebecca.
So one of the ways that NatPhil stands out among the rest is the mission to be multicultural and anti-racist. What does it mean to be anti-racist, and how are you kind of pushing to make sure that you're as diverse as possible?
Our industry has been very behind the times over the centuries. And so we have not been as inclusive as we should have been in incorporating other cultures' classical music. So for America, the Negro spiritual is actually America's classical music. And in supposed classical music, it's generally European tradition. So over the last couple of years, we've really focused on really trying to do the work on representing our community of Montgomery County and the DMV area on our stages. So with the chorale and with the orchestra, we are over time looking to have access and equitable opportunities for musicians to join our orchestra. As far as guest artists and the music that we represent, there is so much good music out there that has not traditionally been expressed through concerts in the United States. And so we really took advantage of the last year to highlight many composers and artists of color so that we could have more inclusivity and also learn from each other's backgrounds. I think it's really important for the next generation of concert goers and next generation of musicians that we are inclusive and that we understand the impact we can have on our communities by representing our community on the stage.
And unfortunately, we can't be kids forever, so they will have to leave NatPhil. And I wanted to talk about your partnership with the National Alliance for Audition Support, about mentoring Black and Latino musicians and helping them find their future orchestras. Can you talk about that partnership and where it came from?
Is a platform for orchestras to understand how to make access to auditions and live auditions more fair and equitable, and involving and accessing musicians of color for those auditions. In addition to that, when you sign on to the Alliance, you also have access to hearing these auditions, and you can have your principal players of your orchestra and your music director join to listen to these auditions so that candidates can be vetted and through a talent process. And first and foremost, we're looking for really excellent musicians, and also providing a platform for our BIPOC or Alana musicians to be represented and selected through that process. So I find it to be very important. It's also very enlightening to understand better how the structures of organizations like orchestras have audition processes, and to understand that maybe they're not the most equitable processes. So working with our union and the National Alliance for Audition Support is very important to changing the structure in which we hire and have musicians on our stage.
Well, it's wonderful work. And if anyone wants to sort of keep in touch and follow your guys' journey, how can they find you? What's your website and what's your social media?
Sure. So our website is nationalphilharmonic.org. And there's lots of different information, especially on our community engagement pages and education pages. In addition, you can see us on Instagram and also Facebook. At Nat Philharmonic is our Instagram handle, and Facebook you can find Nat Philharmonic there as well. We also have a program that we've been showcasing throughout the last year called Harmonic Justice. And that is a way for us to open dialogues with our community of musicians and also patrons to engage and talk about equity and diversity and inclusion and access in classical music.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for all the great work that you guys are doing. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really believe in the work that National Philharmonic is doing and will be doing. And so I thank you for this opportunity.
All right, well, thank you. And thank you to our viewers at home for tuning in to this episode of Impact Moment. It's part of DCTV's nonprofit capacity building grants program, bringing meaningful media to the DMV's nonprofits that are making a difference. Find out more at dctv.org/grants and stay up to date with our latest productions on our live stream at dctv.org/live.
Seabury is a mission-based nonprofit organization that provides personalized and affordable services and housing options to help older adults in the greater metropolitan area live with independence and dignity. So our programs work with caregivers, older adults, their family members, with care management services working with a master's prepared social worker. We have social services that help coordinate home-delivered meals. We provide transportation options, and we also have a very active senior wellness center in Ward 5. You see lots of new development going up, but sometimes there's not any affordable housing in that at all, or the developers only can create a small percentage. And so as the economy continues to grow and the wage gap, as you mentioned earlier, as well as prices going up, it's very difficult. And so affordable housing is extremely important. And I'm just so proud that we are able to provide affordable housing. We have 3 communities, and we hope to expand that portfolio in the future. For more information, visit our website at seaburyresources.org.
We work really hard at making sure that when families leave our programs, that they don't return to homelessness. And right now we're trending at about just above 95% rate of people who leave our programs not coming back to the shelter system within 2 years. It's another measure of success that we really take seriously, because ultimately we want to know that we have helped people to improve their lives.
The moment I got the keys, it was like, is this really happening for real? Is this the last time I'm going to tell my kids we're moving? Only thing I can say about Housing Up is the people that we work with, they're always here to listen. When we need things, they make it happen. If they can't, they try to give us resources. Like, I just love the whole program. Without Housing Up, I don't know where I would be right now.
We became a nonprofit organization in 1998 to create a support system from the time a young person decided that they wanted to be an artist throughout their career and through retirement, in hopes that they would take all of the experience that they gained and give it back to the next generation through the Washington Jazz Arts Institute. We teach music through the venue of jazz, because jazz incorporates all of the elements of music. And we provide employment for youth in the summer so that they don't have to decide to either work or practice. We give them, our services are free to our clients. We want to make sure, if we can, provide young people who don't have instruments that they can take home and practice while they're developed. And also, if the families cannot afford to get them instruments before they go to college, then we try to let them own the instruments that we had loaned them during their time at the Washington Jazz Arts Institute.
You know, I get to be the person who was sitting there being kind of scared and afraid, trying to get through the rhythm changes back when I was 14 years old. And now I get to do that to somebody else and make sure that they maybe don't go through all the same pitfalls that I did. So I get to pass that knowledge, that gratitude, that, you know, what comes from being in the Institute, being surrounded by so many masters. I get to pass that along, what was given to me.
WJAI has a very positive impact on everybody who's in it because they give you a chance to learn new instruments. Like for me, I learned how to play the flute at the WJAI. Mr. Yarborough is very kind and he understands how to work through any difficulties that you may be running into. He understands basically everything you could possibly ask him about jazz. Like he can answer any of your questions. And he's very thoughtful about how he does things. And he also plays like a billion instruments, so that also helps.
Welcome to Impact Moment. I'm Alvin Jones with a song in my heart, because you know what life is about, music. And today we're going to talk about music and songs and youth and laughter. And we have with us to talk about that from the Children's Chorus of Washington, Margaret Namora Clark. Margaret, how are you today?
Hi there. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about this year. Let's talk about your organization, what it's accomplished, and what it's looking to do in the future.
We are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. We started as one of the very first choruses here in the DC area, one of 4 choruses. And since that time, we have worked with over 1,000 students, all coming from many different schools all around Virginia, DC, and Maryland. We're known for our strong music training program, and we work with the students on stage to make sure that they're able to present themselves, to be leaders on and off stage. And as a result, we've been able to sing with the National Symphony Orchestra, with many other choruses, the Washington Chorus, Choral Arts, for many big productions here at the Kennedy Center. So that's one of our big exciting things that our students love to do, in addition to also singing just around the area here in many different performance halls and in touring as well.
Other than just singing and having fun, how this organization helps the youth with developing themselves as human beings and becoming citizens in a better way?
This is such a great question, and this is why I do what I do. Is this organization enables the choristers to develop skills that are leadership skills. They have a vision and a voice, and we're just so thrilled with how our organization has been able to influence our students to have the confidence to work with others, but also when you sing in a chorus, there is this incredible shared humanity that you have together that is unspoken. It is sung and it is felt from within. And this is something that really impacts students as they develop, and then they can approach their academics and how they work with each other. It just has huge, huge benefits.
You know, you just brought me back to my high school days. I was in a couple of choruses in high school, and like you said, It was a way of people to getting to learn, to know each other of different backgrounds and different voices. I mean, you know, as a baritone, I had nothing against the tenors, but you learn to tolerate the tenors when you're a baritone. But also, it's just a way of coming together as one voice, coming together and making something beautiful. So Margaret, talk to us about the DC Honor Course.
We are so thrilled to be partners, official partners with the DCPS schools, and every year we are able to offer choristers that are recommended by their music teachers the opportunity to sing together. This is our third year, and even online we've managed to have over 50 students. They are representing 6 wards and 11 schools. And we want to honor our music teachers for all that they are doing, and by having their students come and sing together is one of my biggest goals. And also, hopefully, if they feel like they want to pursue that further, that they can come and join our chorus.
Now, as an artistic director, what are the duties, what are the joys, and what are the pains of that position?
Well, I think the joy, it's all good. It's all great, actually. This is the best job that I have. It has enabled me to be creative. You have to be flexible, and you have to shift as quickly as possible, even if it's in a performance or online. The challenges are, I want all of the students to come and be a part of this chorus. And so the challenge may be that maybe they're in different parts of DC that we can't get to, that my goal is we're gonna get to them and we're gonna find a way for them to be a part of this chorus.
Now with COVID, how has that affected your organization, and what have you been doing to work around this pandemic?
We had to switch our programming to all being online and virtual. What we've managed to do is we have all of our 8 ensembles online, and we have had to be very creative in what we've been presenting to the students. So we still meet with all of our choristers online, but then we've also managed to have some in-person rehearsals at the Glen Echo Bumper Car Pavilion. It's an outdoor area, and the students get to hear each other and sing. They've had to learn to record themselves and kind of come to grips with hearing their voices, sometimes for the very first time, like alone, and to then make these recordings. So it's been really a huge learning experience for a lot of my choristers and for me. I've been able to really listen closely to their voices and hear them and work with them so that they can find confidence in their own voice. And that's not necessarily something you do in a chorus. Sometimes we're so used to hearing the voices around us that it almost masks having to listen to your own voice. So this has been, I think there's been some blessings here in our situation. And I feel a lot closer in some ways to some of my students because I really know their voices very well.
Please share with us some experiences and success stories. I understand there's a person by the name of Micah who did some great things that's a part of your organization.
This is just something that I am so proud of, and Micah is just an amazing ambassador for the Children's Chorus of Washington. After his experience with CCW, and also working together with Issei Barnwell, together developed the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. And the goal and mission of that was to have a bridge and a place where Israeli and Palestinian students of both the East and West Jerusalem could come together in song and find a way to talk with each other and use music as a way to create peace, harmony. He is really one of our success stories.
Wow, so I'm sure that's one of many success stories that have been going on inside of the Children's Chorus of Washington. Is there anything that folks should know?
Please always check children'schorusdc.org for auditions. We always welcome students to come and audition for us, and we have a we're creating a wonderful scholarship program, and we would love to make sure that Music instruction and choral singing is available for anyone who's able to do it.
Margaret Lamora Clark, artistic director, I like the term artistic director of the Children's Chorus of Washington. Thank you for coming on Impact Moment.
Thank you so much. I really, really loved it. And let me know when you want my kids to come and sing. We'll be right there. Anytime.
Sounds good to me. For Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DCTV.
College is one option, but not the only path to credentials and careers. The DC Students Construction Trades Foundation sponsors technical classes, hands-on training, and internships that offer career-building opportunities for youth from public schools citywide. We partner with business, school, and community leaders to help youth access high-demand jobs with less college debt.
As the CEO of MC Dean, I know the future of global companies like ours depends on the preparation we give students today. DC Students Construction Trades Foundation sponsors immersive training and mentoring that puts youth on the path to careers. We support their efforts by providing real-world learning opportunities for DC students.
Our career tech programs launch high school graduates into apprenticeship and professional licensing, or careers in engineering, design, and construction management. Learn more about our programs at dcstudentsctf.org.
Girls Global Academy closes the gender, wealth, and racial STEM gaps by building pathways for early access to business and engineering. We believe that our focus on a strong supportive network, rigorous academic programs, and leadership through service learning will provide our students with a solid foundation in our 4 pillars of sisterhood, scholarship, service, and safety. Our vision is teaching girls to become leaders that influence change for global benefit. To discover more, visit girlsglobalacademy.org.
Stars Performing Arts, Inc. uses music, dance, and the performing arts to teach at-risk youth how to express themselves. Welcome to Impact Moment, brought to you by DCTV. I'm Rebecca Burnett. In addition to using the arts, Stars Performing Arts also uses faith-based principles to build self-esteem and cultural awareness. Here to explain how is the organization's founder and president, Tamika Joy Harris Russell. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
So what does it mean exactly to be at risk? And why did you feel like it was important for an organization like yours to have faith-based principles too, on top of all the other programming that you have?
Well, when I think of at risk, I really think of everyone, because STARS are acronyms for shining through adversity, reaching success. And we all have adversities. So we basically fit the bill for anyone that have any type of adversities, and we serve the underdogs.
And why did you want to add faith-based principles into your motto and your programming?
Because character. It's all about the character. Anyone is blessed with, everyone is really blessed with a talent, but your character is what really develops you as a person and what really matters in life and how you treat people. So we really want to focus on the character building, and faith-based, of course, is included in that.
One of your programs that I wanted to highlight was the Shine Bright program, because it helps people who love the arts or are interested in the arts but might otherwise not be able to reach them. They might be homeless or have physical or intellectual disabilities. Can you give us just a quick snapshot of the program and what it does?
Oh, sure. So the Shine Bright program actually, like you said, highlights those that have those disabilities, have those things that people don't necessarily go after. That have the it factors. So for instance, we have a client, his name is John Colbert, and we call him DJ Double M, who is visually impaired and wanted to give up on DJing because no one was giving him a chance. And so with that, we actually took him in and gave him some shows where he was able to do DJing. We actually got him on WUSA, Channel 7. We did some business cards for him, and he is booming now with his confidence, his clientele, and he's doing a great job. And that's what basically the Shine Bright program is, just giving someone a chance.
And you also have two other really great success stories in Journey Williams and Serenity Davis. They are 8 and 14, and they have their own podcast. Can you tell me about how that started and how you're kind of supporting them through this project?
Absolutely. So we actually started with a brother and a sister, and they kind of got, when they see the cameras, they were like, oh, I don't know, this is what I want to tell. So we had to recoup. We brought in two other young ladies that I actually work with, one in film. She actually is a designer, the 8-year-old Journey. She is a fashion designer. She has her own boutique. And this lady is she is a whole person of character, but I had to bring her in on the actual show. And so that show basically consists of them highlighting other youth with other talents and entrepreneurs and just doing great things in the community. So they are running really, really well with that. And so we are supporting them by giving them one show a month. And which, as they're growing, it's really going into looking into more shows through the week, through the month.
That is so exciting. So if anyone wants to join any of your programming, how can they find you? What is your website?
Our website is www.starsperforming.com.
And are you on social?
We are on Instagram at stars_performing_arts and Facebook Stars Performing Arts INC.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I loved hearing all your stories, and I wish you great success in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Rebecca.
And thank you to our viewers at home for watching this episode of Impact Moment. It's part of DCTV's nonprofit capacity building grants program, bringing meaningful media to the DMV's nonprofits that are making a difference. Find out more at dctv.org/grants and stay up to date with our latest productions on our live stream at dctv.org/live.
At Hillcrest Children and Family Center, we put our clients first, offering up-to-date clinical services in a confidential, caring environment. Throughout our 205-year history, we have offered primary prevention and mental health services to children and families in the Washington, D.C. area.
We dig deep into the core of the matter to discover the root of the problems and to find best solutions. We pride ourselves on offering the community a continuum of services such as therapy, substance abuse treatment, school-based behavioral health services, and employment and housing support.
Hillcrest Children and Family Center, healing wounds from the past to embrace a healthy future. 205 years of passion and purpose.
The DC Rape Crisis Center is the oldest and the first rape crisis center in the country and the only rape crisis center in Washington, D.C., serving survivors of sexual violence. The center has been called upon in unprecedented ways locally and nationally to respond to the impact of the Me Too movement on survivors of sexual violence. We work 24/7 providing direct services to survivors of sexual violence, giving them a beacon of light through dark times. Let's cultivate a culture of consent and work towards a world free of sexual violence. To discover more, visit dcrcc.org.
My name is Kahina Haynes, and I proudly serve as the Executive Director here at the Dance Institute of Washington. We have been operating DIW for now over 30 years. And in that time, of course, the model has evolved and changed, but the gist of it remains the same: to advance equity and representation in this industry. When we think about impact here at Dance Institute, it goes beyond just the number of dance classes we're able to provide. We think of it more in terms of the impact of that dance training itself and how that goes on to transfer longitudinally into the lives of our students and families. So what you'll find is that students that have the opportunity to train in a pre-professional setting also get to build strong peer-to-peer relationships. They get to build strong peer-to-adult relationships. They get stronger senses of community. They get safety, place, permanence. They get health benefits, right? There's so much that is transitively and tangentially connected to this art form, and that's what we think about when we think about impact. So DIW, having served, for example, over 40,000 students in the last 3 decades, is more than just students having access to class. It's about the impact that is experienced from what those class opportunities and those training opportunities yield.
My story is pretty unique. I began my pre-professional training at DIW, and I had the opportunity to train under our late founder and artistic director, Fabian Barnes. And it really changed my life, and it changed my perspective in just the dance industry at large. It's really about being authentic and saying, how do you take your life experiences and put it in the studio to learn and train? It's a level of discipline, and sometimes you don't even get that in the education setting. Schools are changing, so we're trying to do the work to prepare them for life.
DIW has really been a founding part of my life. It's given me so many tools. When I first got here, I didn't know not one thing about ballet. I'm very happy of how I turned out from when I first got here to now, because I could really see a process and a progress, and I really want to continue that for the future.
I really love dance because it's like a form of movement where I'm kind of shy most of the time, so I'm not really good at talking a lot. But through dance, I'm able to like express and share my emotions and really like speak with the audience. Yeah, it's my dream to be a professional dancer. I'm trying to train here and work hard so that I can become an actual dancer in the future.
I can't wait for all that DIW is going to be able to continue to do, not just, again, for our students, but also for the community more broadly.
Once again, it's time for Impact Moment. I'm Alvin Jones right here on DC TV. And today, oh my goodness, it's my pleasure to talk with a legend in Washington, D.C. in the jazz industry. I'm talking about the one, the only David Yarborough, who is the president, artistic director of the Washington Jazz Art Institute. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
You know what? Whenever you and I get together, I know it's going to be fun. Let's talk. Let's talk about your organization for those who don't know. And for those who do know, they want to hear more from you anyway.
Okay. For those who don't know, I'm a native Washingtonian, born, bred, educated, and still here, lifelong resident of Washington, D.C. And I guess, retired a couple of years ago after 40 years of teaching in DC public schools, and 22 years ago, founding with my wife, my wife Esther Williams, the Washington Jazz Arts Institute.
All of me, why not take all of me? Baby, can't you see I'm no good without you?
Yeah, I started the Washington Jazz Arts Institute at a time when and it's still declining, but the music programs in DC, in the schools and surrounding were on decline for several reasons. The economics of maintaining instrumental music programs in the school, the times when the street got a little on the negative end, and that's the understatement. But I lost a very promising art student at Ellington. At that time, I was counseling. This was before I was actually the band director. And he was valedictorian, and 1 year after he got a full scholarship to the Art Institute in New York, he came home and fell prey to the streets. I had another student who was a drummer, same type of situation, very talented, same type of loss. And at that point, I just didn't want to come back to school another year, look on the counter on the first day of school and find out we lost someone. I wanted to know where my students were, where my people were.
I always feel that when a person really is hungry for something, that's the time that they need to be given that opportunity. And it sounds like what you guys are doing over there is you're providing an opportunity and an open door for folks who want to get into music and the arts.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. And again, it's based on how I came up. When I decided that I wanted to be a musician, I didn't have access to, private lessons that you could pay for. But there were musicians in my neighborhood, and I'd run around and knock on their doors and ask them to show me something. And a lot of them who were doing very well were on the road a lot, so they didn't really have time to do that. Eventually, and I was pretty much self-taught, even though they had music programs in the school. You might have a music teacher for one day, and it's hard to keep up when you have your competition is taking private lessons and participating in other orchestra programs. So what I wanted to do was create something that was free for young folks, or I say myself and my wife, that was free for young folks to be able to get lessons from professionals, working professionals, and mentoring from working professionals, as well as being able to have instruments to play. We try to provide instruments for those who can't afford to get their own when we can. But we give them an environment that will support them from the time that they decide that they want to be an artist, hopefully through retirement, where we hope they come back and spread the knowledge they got here, what we call give back to the community, what the community gave to them.
David Yarborough, it is always a pleasure, and you and I, we have probably more time than we have videotape to record on, but thanks for coming on Impact Moment. It is always a pleasure to catch up with you, all the great things that you're doing with the Washington Jazz Art Institute, and please give my best to your lovely wife. She is a beautiful person and a great musician also.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll have to do some other settings where we can catch up and maybe have a little bit more time to basically talk about what we both have been through that we didn't necessarily go through together. But looking forward to all of that. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank DCTV for the opportunity. And Julie, you're the bomb.
Thank you, sir. You are, and that's right, Julia, you're the bomb. Julia's the person who helps us put all of this together. And sometimes we have unsung heroes, so it's time for us to acknowledge them too. I'm Alvin Jones, this is Impact Moment, and it's right here for you on DCTV.
Educating young singers is really what I feel my mission in life is, to instill a love of singing when they're young. This is where they can express themselves, and then they also find that they have this common bond with the other singers, and so they're experiencing this together.
You learn what you're going to be performing, and then you can look back on rehearsal after the performance and be like, wow, so that was what I learned and that was what came out of it.
1 and 2 and 1.
She has a desire to be an actress on Broadway, so singing in the chorus and developing that skill is necessary.
You may not become a performer, a professional performer, but the skills that they have learned by rehearsing, preparing, performing on stage, these are crucial to building the confidence that students will then need as they grow into being an adult.
I love that CCW gives them the opportunity to meet and interact with children from all different schools throughout the DC area. They have expanded their musical knowledge. They've sung songs in different languages and learned about different cultures, and just had great opportunities to perform at unique venues around the DC area.
Performing arts is so necessary, so I'm inspired by groups like this that really spend time cultivating our youth, because music is becoming a craft that people just pick up without the practice. So I love the fact that the kids have fun, but there's practice involved and there's music theory so that they understand how to sing and why they're singing the songs that they're singing.
We are glad that you are here with us on this special day of programming as we pay tribute to the incredible and critical work that nonprofit organizations are doing to make an impact in our community each and every day. I'm Julia Reardon, Grants Manager and Producer here at DCTV. One of the many reasons that we are here today is to highlight the hard work of our nonprofit grantees serving Washington, D.C. and the greater DMV area. Through our grant program, we engage storytelling, nonprofit expertise, and showcase the impactful work that our awarded grantees are doing in the district and beyond. The vision for the DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant Program really started many years ago. We have always known how critical the nonprofit sector is in DC, the mecca for nonprofits. So many people are served by nonprofits in so many ways, so we started working with nonprofits to help create and distribute meaningful media that is impactful. The DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant Program was established in 2019 to help nonprofit organizations build their media capacity and to provide video benefits directly to the hands of nonprofits by having them appear in our DCTV produced original programs. We wanted to share expertise from nonprofit leaders in a different way for our communities. This year, we have had 2 grant cycles join us. These are the recipients of the 3rd and 4th cohort of grantees. As we press through these unprecedented times, while we continue to see the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are now more than ever invigorated with our purpose to enhance nonprofit media capacity in these times where video and visual storytelling is needed more than ever. Congratulations to our grantees. We invite all nonprofit organizations who serve Washington, D.C. and the greater DMV area to apply for the Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant. We award grants twice a year, in January and in July, so if your organization is interested in applying for this unique grant opportunity, please visit us online at www.dctv.org/grants to find out more about the program and how to apply. Let us help your organization tell quality stories about the important work that you do to make a positive impact in our community.